Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading channel. My name is Skye.
And I'm Susan. How are you, Skye? It's been so long since we've done this.
I know, I'm so excited to be back. I'm in a new setup. I moved a couple weeks ago now, so it's crazy that we're finally back to recording, and I'm loving the new setup and the lighting, and just having my own space for work and for DLL has been so nice so far. So I'm feeling really excited for this episode. How are you, Susan?
I love that. I'm in a new space too, but this is not my permanent space. We'll get more into that actually in a couple weeks because I want it to be like a big reveal. But I'm really good. I'm embracing this season of change and all that comes with it.
And that flows into today's episode topic perfectly, which is embracing the now. And this is kind of going in line with our blog post from a couple weeks ago titled, I'm Learning to Love the Now. So I think let's just dive right into it. And this is all about embracing the present moment and not being too caught up in the, the past or the future and just really embracing this exact moment.
Yep, absolutely. Do you want to start?
I'll start with a quote because I think the quote was what really shocked me in a sense that it was like, okay, like I need to stop thinking for yesterday or for tomorrow and just really think for today. So this quote is, if you stress too much about something before it happens, you basically put yourself through it twice. And that was like a huge eye opener for me because stressing about something before it happens isn't going to change whether it happens or not. And if you stress about it, you don't even know if it's going to happen, let alone how it will be if it does happen. So if you're stressing about it, you're just going through those same emotions that you might not even have to go through. But if you do, only go through them once. Like, don't worry about worrying about it before you have to worry about it. So this was
Yeah,
huge for me. It was like, why am I so stressed when that is not going to help anything?
especially where we're both such planners and organizers and overthinkers. So
Mhm.
we're constantly prepping for what's coming, but we're also overthinking like, oh, did we mess up? Or like, did we offend someone? Overthinking situations that have already happened.
Yep.
Absolutely do not need to.
Yeah, exactly.
I have journaling because we've talked about this before, but my journaling was like scribing the past. It was going through exactly what I did in a day. And it was exhausting and it was boring as hell. Like it was just so I was just living in the past, even in my journal. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And actually, you and I were FaceTiming with our friend Liz, and
Mhm.
she was like, I literally just start journaling with whatever's in my brain. Am I doing it wrong? Because you and I were both at that point journaling, just documenting what we were doing. And we are like, no, you're doing it right. We can't get out of this doing it wrong way.
Mhm.
And so lately, I've been journaling in the present, like what I'm thinking, my train of thought, regardless of what it is, regardless of what my handwriting looks like. And it's so much more therapeutic and functional. And that's just how I want to live my life. Like everything that I'm doing, I want it to be whatever's right in front of me. I'm taking advantage of it. And I think that honestly goes back to dream life floating. It's taking advantage of the moment at hand and making it your dream life and romanticizing it.
Yep, absolutely. I had written journaling down too. I agree about journaling. I think there also can be the advantage of if you're feeling really stressed in a moment, like we can say these quotes and we can say like, "Oh, don't be stressed," but like it's inevitable. Like it's a part of life. You're going to have moments where you feel overwhelmed and stressed. So it's kind of just about handling what you can and letting go of the rest. And so sometimes for me, if I'm really stressed, journaling and just like free writing about what's on my mind can be really therapeutic because then I can close the journal, keeping those thoughts and emotions there and then live in the present moment. So I can like be stressed and put that stressful energy into a healthy place in my journal and then go on with my day and be like, okay, it's written down. I said what I needed to say, and now I can move on instead of living in this anxiety and not appreciating the day for what it is.
Going off of that, something that I do is if I'm feeling stressed and worried and overwhelmed, I'm like, okay, I identify what the absolute worst case scenario is now. And 9 times out of 10, it's really not that bad.
Mhm.
But even if it is terrible, it's like, okay, if that does become like the absolute worst problem, like there are solutions around it and we can fix it.
Yep.
But even just identifying it and then being like, okay, like it's not as bad.
Yep.
Um, for a couple of weeks, I mean, we're in a big season of change, personally, but it was like I felt like the world was ending. Like I was so stressed, I was overwhelmed. I'd messed up 3 million things. Like it was a nightmare. And I just started writing down lists. Like this is in my control, this isn't. And if it really is that messed up, like it's okay. No
Yep.
one's going to die. no one's technically hurt.
Mhm.
And worst case scenario, we, take the solution and the action that we need to resolve it. But at the end of the day, it's not that bad. And in that present moment, I was holding all of this anxiety and like literal physical pain
Yeah.
that I didn't need to have, because in that moment, guess what? I was fine. I was okay. Like I was doing it to myself.
Yep.
I
Absolutely.
ruined I ruined my now with all of those emotions.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of jumping ahead with what I had written down, but I think I can get so caught up in like my phone has been a huge thing that with learning to live in the moment. I've had to cut out so much phone usage because all this used to happen to me and was 99% of the reason I dropped out of my sorority was because I would get a message and I would be like, I have to solve this right now. And then it was like, okay, I'm in my internship right now I'm in so that I can graduate college, but I'm not focusing on what I could be learning in my internship. I'm trying to figure out why the sorority sister didn't get paired with the big they want, and now this is the number one thing on my mind. Or it happens now, like I'll get a text from work and be like, okay, I need to solve this now, even though I don't have to. I can continue doing what I'm doing and get to that issue. Like no one expects you, or if they do, that's on them. No one can expect you to respond and fix something within 30 seconds. But in my head, it was like, I have to do this, this, and this right now. And so that for me is like, turn off your phone when you are not able to be present on your phone. Like, take time for the things that you have time for and cut out the rest.
Elise Myers had this TikTok video and she was like, getting a text message is the weirdest thing. It's like someone put a surprise present on your bed and then hid in your closet. And if you walked into your room and you didn't immediately open the present on your bed that you were not expecting, then you're a dick. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so true. Like we have this expectation, like if we text someone, we expect a response immediately. But that's not the case. Like
Yep.
the nice thing about a text message is that it's not a phone call. You
Yep.
do not have to answer it immediately. And you don't have to answer phone calls immediately either. There's so many times that I just watch it ring because I'm like,
Yep.
I'm not in the mood to talk right now.
Yep.
And that's okay. That's a boundary and that's respecting what you want in the now, which is exactly what we're talking about.
And setting those boundaries, you're right. And I think if you have friendships that someone expects you to respond right away and you're now at a point in your life where that isn't going to work for you or it's not what you want, you just have to say like, look, if you need me, say this or do this or whatever. Like your friends are going to adapt to what you need and you can do that with coworkers too and even your bosses, even like people you work with or people you work for, like you have to figure out what works for you and be able to say that, like articulate what you need in a situation.
And also not taking it personally. If someone, like, let's say you and I are texting, like, we used to text a lot, and lately we haven't been texting as much. But I don't think either one of us is taking that personally or like, oh my gosh, they might be mad at me. Like, no, like, we're just, it's okay that we're not on our phones all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, just understanding that if someone's setting a boundary, it might not necessarily be to keep you out.
Yeah.
It's to protect themselves, or not even protect isn't the right word, but just to be in the moment now. Like, and that's totally fine. And actually on my list I had get off your phone to be in the now.
Yeah.
Um I don't, is it just me or is everyone kind of like coming out of TikTok? I feel like I have not scrolled on TikTok in 3 weeks at all. Like no interest, no nothing.
I have been like, my phone is like giving me the ick, if that even makes
Yeah.
sense. It's like I don't have the energy. I honestly think it comes with the seasons because winter, like you sit inside so much, like it makes sense to be hibernating on your phone, like watching movies, whatever. And then actually, I think movies even more now than in the summer for some reason for me. But like now we can be outside, like the weather's getting nicer,
Mhm.
we can be outside, we can do all these activities. So sitting on my phone is like, why am I wasting this time? And it's not always a waste. Like there are some times where it's like what I need to be doing right now is sitting on my phone scrolling on TikTok and just letting my brain like be
Yeah.
free. And even in those senses, like I don't want to be texting and being, like even when you're
Yeah.
choosing to have phone time, you have to pick what you want to focus on versus like letting your brain get overwhelmed by all the possibilities.
I also use my phone so much as an avoidance
Hmm.
that I like when I was feeling stressed or overwhelmed and I want to just bury my head in the sand, that's when I go and I scroll. And
Yep.
I have been really conscious of not wanting to do that. If I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed, I want to identify the issue and I want to work through it and process it. So usually I pick up my journal or whatever, but
Yep.
I still like to have my hands busy. And I taught myself how to knit this weekend and I found I don't use my phone as much. Like, yeah, I still use my phone, but I my hands are still busy and it's satisfying that need to like be doing something.
Yeah.
But I don't have to be thinking. I can aimlessly do something, thoughtlessly do something, which is hard for me because I'm an overthinker and I don't ever stop. But that gives me something to do and I'm not just like aimlessly doing something. You know
It's a
what I
really
mean?
good idea. No, and it's that muscle memory of like
Mhm.
I
Of
so I,
scrolling.
yes, I've been trying to teach myself not to go on social media when I'm not at my apartment. Like if we because it becomes a habit. I get in the car and like Nick will be driving, so I'll just immediately start scrolling. And it's like I don't need there is no reason for me to be checking social media right now. It has become muscle memory, which is like
Yep.
so scary. So I've started like trying to like do that. And then on the weekends, I actually started a focus mode on my phone called Weekends that clicks in automatically at like 9 a.m. on Saturday or something. And that
Yep.
shuts off like 95% of notifications altogether. And that really helps. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, it's the weekend. I have no reason to be on my phone. I can just completely be present. And if someone needs me that's important enough to need me, that message will come through, you know? So
Right.
that's been really helpful for me too, is not even just like the focus modes at night, but the focus modes on certain days. And if you have
Yeah.
days off from work during the week, have it come on that Tuesday or whatever. So that helps to like
I
unlearn the habit.
yeah. And the other thing is did a TikTok on this just about being aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
But when you're in public, don't be on your phone. Like, just look around. Like, be aware of your surroundings, not even necessarily for a safety thing, but for a confidence thing.
Mhm.
Like, when I see a woman walk into a room, not like buried in her phone, and she's just like soft smile, looking around, taking in the scenes, like, that's the girl that I'm like, I want to be her when I
Yep.
walk into. And it's just so true. Like, just don't bury yourself in a phone. Like,
Yeah.
would you walk around like this all day? What if your phone wasn't there? Like, that's what you look like when you're
Yeah.
buried in it.
Yeah. I made this TikTok too that was about like think of your time as money, which is I feel like it's a concept we talk about a lot, but think about if you only had $24 in a to spend in a day. Like are you going to spend
Mhm.
3 whole dollars on TikTok? Like I hope not.
Right.
But you know, like so like that
Yeah.
really helped me too. It's like okay, and it also helps like to break up your day and say like I'm going to spend these $4 on this and that's X
Mhm.
amount of my day. And it
Our
really is.
friend,
We only have so much time. Like we need to
yeah,
pick and choose what's important.
yeah, our friend has a kid, and he was talking to us just about like life changes and whatnot. And he was like, "You have a kid." He's like, "Time is your currency." Like he just kept saying it over and over and over again. And I was like, "No, he's so right." I was like, "We don't need to wait to have a kid to realize that time is our currency. Like, time is your currency." And the saddest part is like time is not accruing interest like cash is. Like you are losing it day by day, $24 a day. Like you have to just take advantage of it and enjoy where you are right now. And I can't stress it enough. Like that boils down to what our whole company is based off of. We're trying to teach you it's so important to love where you are right now and to embrace it. And if you don't love where you are right now, make it a space you love to be.
Yeah.
You have control over a lot of that. You have a control of your mindset, of who you see, your environment. Like even if some of those factors aren't fully in your control, you control you and you control your
Absolutely.
thoughts.
And I was thinking about this a lot too with if you can't so let's say you're looking working towards this goal, which you always should be, how can you still love right now while working towards that goal, which is quite literally what Dream Life Loading stands for. And I think we've talked about this before and it's such an easy way to do it is think about okay, so once I have this goal that I'm working towards, how am I going to feel? Well, why can't I feel that way now? And then
Mhm.
when I'm there, I'm already creating the person that I'm going to be when I reach this goal or when I have this new position, whatever it may be. But if you decide today like okay, I am going to act as if I already want as if I already am where I want to be, you're one step ahead and now you're in a better mindset than oh, poor me, like I don't have what I want or oh, I'm so jealous of the people that have what I want. It's like no, like you can have exactly what you want. First step is mindset and with
Mhm.
everything.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a crash course on manifesting. Like that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. And honestly, instead of a favorite, can I give my biggest ick?
Yes.
Because it must be nice. I hate that. don't look at me and say must be nice. You don't know what I sacrificed to be in the position that I'm in,
Mhm.
because everything is a give or take. So when people are like, oh, I see it on Facebook all the time, like, must be nice. People are on vacation. Like, dude, like, just shut up. We get it. You're jealous. But don't be like, don't throw shade at other people because they have something you don't want. You don't know what their other situations like. They could be on vacation all the time, but you don't know what they're living in. You don't know what their job is. They might have taken a job that pays more that they absolutely hate so that they can go on vacation. You know, like, you just never know the situation. So just that sentence must be nice. Ugh.
Yeah. I've been noticing I'm so jealous. That's a phrase that like really gives me the ick. And I know we've talked about this and it's again, I think that and it must be nice. It's muscle memory phrases. Like you say it enough
Yeah.
and you don't think twice about it. But it's like think about the words you're saying and how that's going to impact not only your mindset, but the people around you's mindset. Like if you said something to me and I was like, "Oh, that must be nice." Like now I'm feeling negative and you're going to feel like extremely negative because
Oh
now I've just
God.
made you complete discredited the way you
Yeah.
feel.
The whole reason that we're in so much change right now is a really exciting thing.
Mhm.
And the people closest to us, their first reaction or the first thing they said, not you, but other people, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous that you're there. Or I'm so jealous that you're doing this. And it was just like, dude, it was literally the week after our episode on jealousy had come out. And I was like, oh, guys, like, no, like that, because it made me feel not bad, but it made me feel like, oh, like,
Doing
it
something
just, instead
wrong.
of like wanting to like continue to share the excitement, it made me like retreat a bit and be like, this is uncomfortable
Yeah.
for everyone involved. Cause it's like, again, we made sacrifices to be where we are.
Mhm.
And that's,
Or simply you've just worked hard enough and you know what? You've everyone's working towards something and you had this goal and you worked every single day with that goal in mind and you got there. Now someone else is working every single day for a different goal and then when you reach yours, they're jealous because it's not the goal they didn't reach it, but it wasn't what they had in mind. You know, like everyone's paths are different, what everyone wants is different, and that's okay.
yeah. That was like, I've had a, like, my body has transformed a lot in the last year and a half just because I'm consistent with being active, and
Mhm.
my eating has changed a tremendous amount. And my drinking has gone down a tremendous amount. Like, there were a bunch of life factors that have changed my body.
I
And
think,
someone,
like, to be fair, like, you're 23, you know, like it happens. Like you finish college and like we're growing. Like we're done growing now, I guess, you know, but like throughout college and stuff, everyone's bodies change and throughout life, like it's a very normal thing to happen.
someone was like, I'm so jealous. I wish I were you. And I was like, I get up at 4 a.m. every day. Like, you are very capable of getting up and getting it done. Like, you can't sit here and complain that you look a certain way or you feel a certain way or that you're not where you want to be because you're not doing anything about it.
Or the other side of that is just this goes back to our topic is how can you love where you are right now? Like stop saying that you're jealous of someone else or you want to look a certain way. Like if you watching this right now are someone that says like I wish I looked like someone else. Okay, well I need you to look in the mirror and say 5 things that you like about yourself right now. And you can do that with your day. Like if it was a shitty day, what are 5 things you loved about today? Like there are always going to be things that you can take away from a present moment that are good things. And that's I think the whole point of this episode is that no matter what the big picture may look like, you can always appreciate something.
You can break your day down into smaller segments too. I found that's helped because, like, yeah, if you start your day off and, 3 things go wrong in your morning, it's really easy to be like, what a shitty day. But if you break your day into, like, let's say 6 parts, so you have early morning, mid morning, late morning, and then the same thing in the afternoon, to be like, oh, I had a shitty early morning, but like I still have all morning and late morning for
Yep.
it to turn around. And that just it, but again, it all comes back to mindset and just how you approach situations. And it takes practice. It's not something you're not going to wake up tomorrow and be able to implement every single one of the things that we're talking about today. And that's okay.
Mhm.
It's finding what works for you and then seeing where you can implement it organically and authentically into your day-to-day life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think trying out a bunch of different things, like we throw so much information into these episodes, and realistically, like, do we do every single one of these things every day? Probably not. But again, it's like we're trying to put out all these ideas and information so that one sticks for one person. You know, like that's all, like you don't have to do everything in order to, for this episode, like be present in the moment and appreciate the now, but like try a bunch and see what works for you and what feels natural and see how it goes.
See which one's your favorite, which
Yep.
perfect segue into favorites, unless you have more.
No, I think the one last thing that it's important to mention is just be engaged in your conversations. I think I was really bad about this, like sitting on my phone, like scrolling while someone was talking to me. And like I'm not even looking at my phone. Like I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm listening." But it's like, how rude is that? And it's become a thing like I mean, yes, it's horrifically rude, but I think so many people do it because we're so overwhelmed. Like even if it's not your phone, I know we've talked a lot about phones, but like even if I'm working on something and writing, but someone's talking to me, it's like, well, why am I not like devoting my attention to either my writing or the person speaking to me? Like be engaged with what you're doing, and because you don't want to be at the end of the day and not remember the conversation you had, or like you don't want to be in an event and only remember the person that you were texting on the side. Like be engaged and like take the time to be engaged with where you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I'm ready for favorites.
Okay, so I already said my not favorite of spiritual. What's your favorite for spiritual?
My spiritual favorite is No Day But Today, which is a quote. I feel like I've talked about it before. Now that I say it out loud. No?
It again.
Okay. Well, it's No Day But Today, and it was actually the first tattoo I got. It's a quote. It's from the musical Rent, and from the first time I heard it, I was like obsessed with it. And I think actually I do remember we have talked about this, but it's okay because I think there is no day but today, whether it was the best day or the worst day. Like you won't repeat this day, so don't live for tomorrow, don't live for yesterday, like live for now because there is no day but today.
Yep. Mine has been show up as your best. So even if it's not 100% your best all the time, it's something that I ask myself probably 10 to 20 times a day. Like, did I do my best? And then sometimes it's a matter of just pausing Netflix for the extra 10 minutes to go and journal, to give myself the best for 10 minutes. And it's just something really small that has become a habit of me asking myself. And then when I'm checking in and it's been halfway through the day and I'm not, it's a good point to be like, okay, let's go back and let's try our best.
And your best can look different every day, which is great too, because as long as you showed up and did your best for that day, like that's all you can ask of yourself. So
Yep,
I
and that it's not as quantifiable because I think I was always striving for 100% and I was burnt out like 98% of the time
yep.
because of that. So just best in general is an easier measurement for me now.
Yeah, I like that a lot. My physical favorite, or we need to come up with a, if anyone has suggestions for a better name than physical favorite, because I think our spiritual favorite is like our quote or our mantra of the week, and
Yep.
then our physical favorite is like our fun favorite, or I don't know. We need a different name because I feel like half the time it's not like here's my physical favorite. You know what
We
I
could
mean?
just do favorite quotes and then favorite of the week.
That might be, yeah, that might be it. But
You
anyway,
change.
that is my favorite. Mine is the Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, and it has become a personality trait at this point. Like she has 2 to 3 shows a week, and this is my TikTok scrolling time is the day after a show because I feel like I'm sitting there watching the concert, which is incredible because she hasn't announced international tour dates yet. So I feel like I'm living through everyone that's at these tours, and what is it, 44 songs in 3.5 hours with no break? Like that woman is a superhero. Like I don't know how she does it. I'm amazed by the production that she puts on every night and all the songs she fits in and all the different eras and scenes and costumes. It's just like so insane to me.
She
So
is the music industry, and this is why.
yeah.
She's
No,
so good.
it's amazing. I've been having so much fun like watching, and then I found like playlists on Spotify that are like the entire tour um show in order. So that's, oh, it's just I've been loving it.
It's so good. Oh, I love that. So my favorite, it's not sponsored, but it should be, is we got a Fi collar for Maggie. So Maggie's our dog. She's an Australian Shepherd, and it is literally an Apple Watch essentially for your dog. So it is a little like it looks like a Fitbit, and it's a collar, and you put it on her, and we can track everything. We can track her sleep, her steps. We set safe zones. So like when she leaves our house, it says Maggie just left home. And then it tells us when she gets back. If she goes missing on the app, we can hit lost and we can have an exact GPS location of her. We can see her on the map at all times. It is so cool.
Oh.
And we've been obsessed. Like we're overboard dog parents at this point, and that's okay because this is the coolest collar I've ever seen. And it came in pink. So that was very exciting.
Wow. Honestly, I'm surprised I haven't heard about something like that before because now that you say it, it seems like something that's so obvious to have for
Yeah.
your pets, but that's so smart.
So cool. She's sleep like because we went away this weekend for a couple hours and I was like, oh, I wonder what Maggie's doing. So we like opened our apps and it was like she has been sleeping or napping for the last 3 hours. Like it tracks her actual sleep versus napping, her steps, her run. So like she goes on a run like with one of us. It shows the map of where she went and when she came back, and it's really cool.
Oh, I love that. That's fun. We have at home like the pet camera that you can like
Yeah.
put in, like which is funny, but it doesn't like that's like useful in a
Yeah.
different way. But that's great.
Yeah, and it has like goals, and then it's actually like Instagram for dogs. So like you can post pictures of them and like scroll through and see all the other dogs. It's really cute. We don't get into that part of it, but yeah,
You
we're in a
will,
week.
yes.
Yeah. All right, guys, you know the drill. Like and subscribe, comment, let us know any topics that you want to hear about, and we'll be back next week.
Thank you for watching.